Of the Coles Racing teammates, Clayton Ravenscroft in Kart 75 and Johnny Edgar in Kart 47. He will start on row number 2. Edgar, the son of former double Kart Masters champion Justin Edgar. Finley Bunce for Tooley Motorsport, the team run by another former Kart Master champion Andrew Tooley. He starts on the inside of row 3 alongside the second of the Strawberry Racing Karts, Lorcan Hannafin. Tom Canning for KR Sports and Ben Fayers for Project 1 will start on row 4. Dominic Bush and Kieran Jeremy, last year's cadet Honda Kart Masters champion, the only driver in this field with a Kart Masters title to his name. Jeremy starts the number 17 kart 10th. Kai Hunter and Brandon Martland are on row 6. Martland for Dan Holland Racing has been flying under the radar, slowly improving, and is working his way towards the front as the weekend progresses. Owen Johnson and Ben Burgess are on row 7. Lewis Gilbert and Joe Ellison are on row 8. Piers Henderson and Oakley Pryor are on row 9. Then Matthew Hudson, Jack Martin, Sam Harrison, Josh Torpey, Suleiman Zanfari from Jadida, Carl O'Brien, and the field rounded out by CRG Islands, Con Davitt. Lights are out, off we go, and drivers bumping into each other on the straight going into turn number 1, but they sort each other out and they're all safely under the bridge and out onto the banking. They're 2-3 wide, jostling for position. Side by side for third, Ravenscroft and Edgar behind the poleman, Butterfield, who still leads. And round the first hairpin, they all going to get round cleanly. Well done, gents. Oh, and as I say that, 2 of them come together. That's Josh Torpey and the number 28 of Suleiman Zanfari. They continue, but they've been delayed. Now, Minimax tends to be an all-out bun fight, a real group slipstreaming affair, just because of the power of the karts and the layout of the circuit. However, Jensen Butterfield and his Strawberry Racing teammate Lorcan Hannafin have broken away. That is a significant development, because you can rest assured that the number 23 machine of Hannafin will not battle with his teammate just yet. We've got 11 minutes to go, and what you will see, I'm sure, is Hannafin sitting behind his teammate, and it's down to then the second group of karts, which is now led by Dexter Patterson in the number 11, to work together to catch them. Let's see if they can. At the end of lap number 1, Butterfield and Hannafin had a 1-second lead over the third place driver. Dexter Patterson has made a couple of moves to move into P3, and he is now in front of Johnny Edgar, Finley Bunce, Clayton Ravenscroft and Tom Canning. And there's 2, 4, 6, 7 drivers in a line battling for third place. They need to work together. Patterson, Bunce in the 58, Edgar in the 47, Ravenscroft in the 75, Canning in the 21, and Kai Hunter in the 95 in that group, with Ben Fayers at the back of it in the number 24 Project 1 kart. Behind Fayers, a bit of a gap opening up to the 10th place driver Dominic Bush, followed by Ben Burgess, Piers Henderson, Kieran Jeremy, Oakley Pryor, and Brandon Martland. Slips to 15th in the number 62 kart, ahead of Mark Bain's teammates Joe Ellison and and Jack Martin. Then it's Matthew Hudson for 698 Racing. The first of the Persistence Motorsport karts, Lewis Gilbert in the 43. All 25 drivers still running. The number 14 of Con Davitt slipping back into the clutches of a recovering Joshua Torpey and Suleiman Zanfari. And slowly but surely, Butterfield and Hannafin have had their lead eroded as we complete lap number 3. Edgar, who has moved past Patterson into third. In fact, Patterson has dropped right back. Johnny Edgar is now only 0.4 of a second behind second place driver. Oh, and there's someone in the barriers under the bridge. And that is number 85, Joe Ellison. And Ellison clambers out of his cart. Well, he's well enough to kick the barriers, but that is not a place you want to have an accident, because you are full chat going under the bridge. And the barriers are not far away. They've got the best safety barriers in the world of karting here at PFI. But if you drive your kart into them at 50 miles an hour, it's going to ache regardless of what the barriers are made of. But luckily, they've stood it well. Ellison out of the race, though. Butterfield continues to lead, but Johnny Edgar, yellow flags waving through the Bruno Ferrari chicane. You can see the green flag being displayed at the exit of the bridge, and no overtaking there, and that is obeyed. Now, of course, one of the marshals needs to remove that cart into a safer position as Johnny Edgar moves into P2 at the expense of Lorcan Hannafin. Last year, Edgar, Hannafin and Patterson were all fighting for the British Cadet title. Now they move up together into Minimax. Patterson was third, right down the order now. Is he right down? He's in 7th place. Kai Hunter in the number 95, the HRS Engines entry. HRS Engines, not one of the big established names in British karting, without any, in terms of the teams. You've got your likes of Strawberry Racing, Coles Racing, KR Sport, Dan Holland Racing, etc., that run multiple drivers across multiple classes. HRS Engines, got 2 drivers here. Kai Hunter in minis, and in juniors, they've got Reese Hunter, and both the Hunters have been doing a very good job indeed. And Kai, he's just slipped back behind the number 75 of Dexter Patterson as Johnny Edgar reels in the race leader with 6 minutes to go. So halfway through this Minimax pre-final battle between the 62 of Brandon Martland and the 66 Team Clay Pigeons Oakley Pryor. That's for 13th place. The top 12 are separated by 4 seconds. And so at half distance, 4 seconds separates the top 12. I have a feeling that at some point in the second half of this race, that gap will shrink between 1st and 12th, because Johnny Edgar has caught Jensen Butterfield. If Edgar feels that he is quicker, he will move past the O-plate. But Johnny Edgar, a very tactically savvy driver, if he thinks that Butterfield is quick enough, he will try and push the leader away, like he's doing now, like he was a cadet. And it's then down to the chasing pack to continue to work hard. Tom Canning in the purple number 21 for KR Sport is up into 3rd place, and we see the number 14 kart grinding to a halt on the start-finish line. That is Con Davitt's race over. Well, let's have a look. Canning has pulled away from Finley Bunce, who runs in 4th. At the end of lap number 6, he was 1.18 seconds behind Butterfield. But on this lap, he was fractionally quicker than the race leader through the 1st sector. Butterfield fought back in sector 2, and he's signalling to Edgar as they cross the start-finish. I can see the drivers just pointing and giving each other the thumbs up, and Canning loses a 10th to the 2 leaders on that lap. Now behind Canning, 1.2 seconds behind Canning, Finley Bunce in the number 58 kart runs 4th. Dexter Patterson in the number 11 runs 5th. And Ravenscroft is 6th, behind Clayton Ravenscroft. Another gap back to a 2-4-6 kart battle, now led by Lorcan Hannafin. So Hannafin, and I didn't see what happened, from 2nd and pushing the leader away to 5 seconds off the lead in 8th. And he's trying to hold off Kieran Jeremy and the 37 of Piers Henderson. Kai Hunter is 11th, then Ben Fayers in 12th. Behind Fayers, a gap to another 5 kart battle led by Brandon Martland in 13th position. We have 23 drivers still running. Josh Torpy at the back after his spin. Finley Bunce leads Patterson and Ravenscroft under the bridge and out onto the banking. Behind them, a couple of drivers trying to make a move. I think that was Dominic Bush slicing at the inside of Piers Henderson. But still, up at the front, Johnny Edgar in the number 47, Cole's kart, is quite content to sit on Butterfield's rear bumper. In second place, and Tom Canning, the gap has grown to 1.4 seconds at the end of lap number 8. We're on lap 9 now with 3 minutes to go. Canning was 1.4 seconds back. And as long as Canning isn't encroaching too much, Johnny Edgar will bide his time. If Johnny Edgar suddenly realises that Tom Canning is catching them, then he will start searching for a way past the leader. Over the course of the heats, Jenson Butterfield hasn't finished lower than second in any of the 4 heats. And some of those heats have been absolute knockdown, drag-out affairs right from the word go. But somehow Butterfield has been able to keep his track position even when there's been 8 or 10 drivers battling for the lead. Further back, there is the brightly liveried Persistence Motorsport kart, that lime green and luminous orange machine of Lewis Gilbert, coming under pressure from, Clayton Ravenscroft to stop. He was, being passed there, and I noticed as the number 92 Mark Baines kart of Jack Martin and the Persistence Motorsport kart of Lewis Gilbert were side by side, there was suddenly the yellow flag appeared at the marshal's post, and that was because Clayton Ravenscroft, running in 6th place for Coles Racing, has pulled out and stopped a mechanical issue. Ravenscroft, driver from Hedge End, will have to start the Grand Prix from near the back of the pack. Well, that elevates Lorcan Hannafin back into 7th and Kieran Jeremy up to 8th. Tom Canning now 1.6 seconds behind the leader in 3rd. So Edgar, his tactic has worked, and pretty much the first time all weekend we could be in just for a 2-kart battle for the win on the last lap. Let's see. All depends on when Butterfield defends, when Edgar attacks. Tom Canning will be hoping that happens quite soon, because we're into the final 60 seconds. Finley Bunce, 4th. No, Finley Bunce 5th. Dexter Patterson has got 4th place now in the number 11 kart. Bunce is right behind him, and it's just those two now fighting for 4th place. Hannafin is some way back in 6th. In fact, Hannafin has lost 6th place to Kieran Jeremy. So Jeremy in kart 17 for Thule Motorsport into the top 6. Hannafin 7th, Bush 8th, Henderson 9th, and Hunter rounding out the top 10 ahead of Martland, Pryor, Martin, Gilbert, and the top 15 completed by Owen Johnson. Into the second hairpin, Johnny Edgar just resting his nose cone on the rear bumper of Jenson Butterfield's kart, and of course the drop-down nose cones that the drivers in this class use, which see you receive a 10-second penalty if your nose cone has been moved or has been moved during the course of a race. Still hasn't stopped Johnny Edgar just caressing the rear bumper of Butterfield's kart as a gentle reminder of his presence. Last lap board goes out, and now Butterfield defends. Canning is 1.9 seconds back. How quickly will he close the gap as Edgar swings out wide at the entrance to the banking to try and cut underneath Butterfield going into turn 3, but Butterfield covers his line. Over the bridge they go. Now Johnny Edgar will try and get into Butterfield's slipstream. They head down towards the first hairpin, and smart driving there from Jenson Butterfield. He realised that Edgar was a couple of kart lengths back, so he didn't drive too defensively and slow himself down. Edgar's going to get a good run out of the second hairpin up the short chute, however. Butterfield has to defend into the Fullerton S's. No room to pass there. Edgar gets a good run onto the back straight. Butterfield will squeeze Johnny Edgar to the inside. Now into the Bobby Game corner. Oh, Johnny Edgar's there. 2 wheels on the curb. Butterfield leaves him room. Butterfield comes back at him wheel to wheel. Great stuff. Butterfield regains the lead. And that was a hold your breath moment there. Butterfield hangs on. Edgar second. Canning finishes inches behind Edgar in third. So Canning gained 2 seconds on the two leaders as they were fighting on that last lap. Patterson in fourth. Finley Bunce comes home in fifth. Lorcan Hannafin crosses the line in sixth position with Kieran Jeremy seventh. Butterfield and Johnny Edgar, that's nice to see, saluting one another because, well, Butterfield did what he had to do on the back straight, and that is squeeze Johnny Edgar towards the grass. Edgar did what he had to do and stick his nose at the inside of Butterfield for as long as he could. Butterfield gave Johnny some racing room, and then Johnny said, well, I'm going to take advantage of your generosity. 2 wheels up on the curb, side by side into the Mike Wilson complex, briefly had the lead, and Jensen Butterfield on the outside of the long right-hand part of the complex